on page 46, it talks about two things that are necessary in order to begin to connect with this power. In the middle of the page, it says, we found that as soon as we were able to, first, lay aside prejudice, and with a lot of the guys I sponsor, I try to talk to them. We try to even sometimes get them to write down, what are your prejudices? What are your ideas, your opinions, your judgments, your notions about God? Especially let's look for the ones that at times may make his love and grace give you a sense of that you're not worthy of it or you can't access it. And I'll tell you what one of mine was, and I think a lot of us have this, and it's unconscious. That's the problem with most prejudices. I don't get that they're prejudices. It's just an unconscious stance that I take towards things. And one of mine was this idea that God would only help me and love me when I'm good. That in my very worst day, when I've just done something I can't stand myself for, that God wouldn't help be there for me because I've rendered myself unworthy of His grace. When I've just got into a restaurant and because I haven't eaten all day and I'm really hungry and I'm nuts and the waitress doesn't wait on me quickly enough and I knock the sugar thing off the counter and start yelling at her and storm out of there. And then I'm sitting in my car and I want to go out in the garden and eat worms. Because I've become the guy that I can't stand. I've become the guy I can't stand. If I don't have a God that I can access even at my very worst, I got a problem. Because that's when I need His power. It's when I need Him the most. And so that's a deadly, deadly prejudice. And so many of us have that, and many, many more. So it says the first thing we have to do is lay aside prejudice. These prejudgments that I have about God, these opinions. And the second thing it says, and express even a willingness to believe. It doesn't say we have to believe. It asks for an expression of a willingness. And it says if we do those two things, it says we'll commence to get results, even though it's impossible for any of us to fully define or comprehend that power, which is God. I sort of thought that I had to understand God before I could approach Him. And that's not the case at all. Matter of fact, my desire to understand and figure God out was a very self-oriented thing. The reason I want to understand God is just the same reason I want to understand the boss at a new job. Because if you understand the way he thinks, you're going to get a little leverage there. You're going to get a little more control. You're going to feed self a little. What about it's going to do me? Like maybe if I could understand God enough, I could tailor my prayers in such a way to get the Bentley and the new house. You know what I mean? But you have to make Him see that this is what's necessary. And you just kind of understand Him so you can lay that down. Book says don't even try. A friend of mine says that if God's small enough for me to understand Him, He's not big enough for me to help me. And I believe that's true.